Yo, dudes and dudettes, what's going on with y'all? This week, Audible suggested a nice little book called Aftermath, and I've never heard of it, but it sounds interesting, so let's go ahead and see exactly what this is. Beware, because spoilers be lurking ahead. We open up on our protagonist, Taylor E, taking a selfie with friends after reading We'll Save the Galaxy for Food. I'm honestly just kinda glad to have a name to attach to a protagonist so quickly. Thank you, book. Anyhow, Taylor is at a concert turned political rally, and I don't know how that would work. It feels like the crossover between people who would jam out at a concert and people who would be psyched to hear the next supposed president speak really wouldn't be that huge a demographic, but what do I know? So, something happens. I think an explosion, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. And Taylor leaves the assembly. Assuming this was something panic-inducing or dangerous, the leaving seems calm and very organized. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of people leaving a school during a fire drill more than it does people fleeing for their lives. So she calls 911, good girl, and then tries to text her friends who obviously don't answer. She figures they're likely fighting their way out like she had. Except I don't remember hearing about any struggle to get out. And because we literally just met all three of these people, I don't really care if they're dead. You had no chance to build these two girls, to explain who they were, what they want, what they're facing, before you just put them in danger. Because I don't know who they are, they don't feel real to me, and because they feel like two paper-thin characters that could be betrayed by Brie Larson, I don't care about their dangers. Anyhow, Taylor decides to go back into the place to find her friends. Literally, why? I get it, you care about them even if you didn't appear 2 minutes ago, but that's fine. But like, really, what in the fuck are you gonna do by going back in there except get in the way?
What are you gonna do?
I'm willing to let this go for now because lapses in logic are something that can happen during traumatic or panic-filled moments, but from the way it's written and narrated, it really doesn't sound like that's what the author was going for. And then suddenly we shift focus to Dustin Webb, some dude apparently out of nowhere nearby that's being pulled over and approached as if he's heavily armed. Book, do you want me to care about anyone? Jumping around this early is not going to help you if I don't even know who anyone is or why I should care. This feels a little like it was written by an alien. Human 1 is in danger and makes a choice to save friend, now on to Human 2. I need more than that. It's just not enough for me anymore.
He's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits.
Anyhow, Dustin has several bags filled with plastic explosive that he never put in his trunk being inspected by police, and just as the moment I thought I might start caring about his story, despite the logic and questions rising up, we jump characters again! This book has ADD and I can't even keep up, man. Now we're following Jamie Powell, who I think is a lawyer? Turns out she's Dustin's childhood friend. Moving on. And he left her to go to the army before calling her, and she might actually believe him when he says he's innocent. Finally, story starts to become just interesting enough to follow. So why the fuck didn't we start with a flashback was them being children is beyond me. This is the place to start. The story about them being childhood friends and Dustin being an unloved foster child is a start. Sure, it's a bit cliche and a bit odd, but it's still some form of investment in a character. Anyhow, Jamie decides to defend Dustin and goes over to take care of his dog since, you know, he'll be in prison. And she can't help but admire his immaculate house and his wonderful dog. And I was actually starting to get into it until this point. I am so done with woman goes over to see that the dude totally has a picturesque life thing. Yes, sure, not all guys are slobs, but this clean-cut, perfect life thing gets old super quick. Heck, if you want to change up a stereotype, why not make the place feel too clean or too nice for her taste? Never mind, I'm starting to fall into the trap of rewriting this book, and that'll never end. Point being is that I was about to mention that the book gets better after the first few chapters, and then it turns into a cliched romance novel for a bit. Then we jump to yet another person. Dustin's work partner, Travis. We were told about him before, so it's not as jarring as the other jumps, but it certainly doesn't help this book's disjointed feeling. Then we move to Taylor's story, and honestly, it's so unremarkable up to this point that I've had nothing to say about it. After she finds out her friends are dead, and incidentally they are still non-entities to me, so I still don't care, her sister says she's been obsessing over what happened in the hall, and it's offhandedly mentioned that she has OCD, where a lot of people, including Friend 1 and Friend 2, died. So yeah, obsessing is actually fairly expected for that. Obviously, I'm no mental health expert or anything, but this just feels like a really weird point to make out of the blue. So time marches on and we delve deeper and deeper into Travis, Dustin, and Jamie trying to prove Dustin's innocence. Well, Taylor is also there. That's underplaying her role a bit. She did somewhat affect the plot, but I can't help feeling like paring things down a tad might have helped. Because while it's not a long book, it does start to feel a touch draggy. However, that being said, the whole book does pick up massively over what happens to be a bonkers confusing intro. And I do understand that people who don't like to play catch up or don't accept it gets better later, but for what it's worth, it does get better later. So, something that's suggested is perhaps Travis set up Dustin for the bombing, which he denies because they were both honor bound by the military code of bros before hoes. Anyhow, Dustin needs Travis' computer for a job, and while grabbing the charger for it, he finds a diagram with bombs on them. And I'm just gonna say right fucking now that if this is actually proving him guilty, I'm a re. Because this is stupid. Beyond stupid for Travis if he is guilty. I suspect it's a red herring given how early we are in the novel, but yeah, that would just be dumb. So, Travis's wife is dying of cancer, and I haven't mentioned this much before because for the most part this is, it's well done. It's fairly sympathetic. That being said, they bring up more people needing to donate blood because Crystal's platelet count is literally 0. They even explain why platelets are important in helping blood clot, and for all I know, which is next to nothing, that could be completely accurate. I will say that in this regard, the job of an author to sound like they at least know what they're talking about is almost done well. Hold on, that's a fucking loaded sentence that needs some unpacking. The issue is that blood types are not brought up at all. And while I get that that could be a difficult problem to overcome, the solution is seemingly very simple, which is just to make Crystal type AB positive or universal recipient's blood type, and then boom, weird problem of everyone with multiple blood types donating is done, that's fixed. So after finding out yet more evidence that Travis is guilty, Dustin confronts him, and I earnestly thought we were going to deal with the red herring and all the new evidence and there was going to be some excuse. I thought some bullshit was going to come up and exonerate him, but no! Travis full on admits that he was in on it and even does the classic, "I never knew things would get this bad." That is so stupid!
My dum-dum want to speak.
You knew he was going to retrieve your laptop where you had a copy of your bomb sketch. He also knew after he was being questioned that you left ton of incriminating evidence in the work storage area. Dumb, diddly dumb dodo, this is stupid. Anyhow, after his wife dies, Travis loses his last marble for a hot minute, and Taylor buys a gun that nearly shoots both Dustin and Travis, which is weird because they do address the 60-day waiting period, but it certainly doesn't feel like 60 days passes in this time. But at this point, I'm too tired to give a shit. As a small note, the book does tackle both Dustin and Jamie being people of faith, and that's all handled fairly well. But everything else you wanted to work around is pretty much batshit bonkers. So, Travis ends up being arrested, Taylor gets treatment, and Dustin and Jamie both live happily ever after, and blah, blah, blah. My personal score for this is 3.5 out of 10. There are some things to like in here, and some of it does get better later, but I can hardly make that a recommendation. It's a little touch of mystery, a little bit of romance, a little bit of psych thriller, and a little bit of everything adds up to a whole lot of nothing. Let's go ahead and take a look at that bingo card. And unfortunately, I can't quite call it a healthy relationship, but we did still hit bingo at least once, which is something. Anyhow, that's all for this time. So if you have something else you want me to review, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know. If you want to see what we get into next time, go ahead and subscribe. Until then, drink plenty of water, tell your parents that you love them, and stroke your mustache at night.